project officer for the Advanced Youth Participation Team, the Office for Youth Development Planning and Community Development. Government's love long titles. Sally Walker on the end is from Family Life, the Program Manager, and also a provider for the School Focused Youth Service Weeks Program. We'll have Maggie McPhee, CEO of Youth Connections, which is a service on the Central New South Wales coast that helps young people engage in career development. And Carol Anderson, NT, Project Officer for Youth Commitment in the Southern Metropolitan Region, the Department of Education and Early Childhood Development. So these are our expert panel. Without further ado, we might begin with you, John.
First off the bat, yes.
Start your presentation with a big voice.
Sure, yeah, no problems at all. And I guess basically just to give a bit of an overview of the Office for Youth. The Office for Youth sits underneath the Department of Planning and Community Development. A bit of a snapshot picture for you. About 30 staff in total, split down the middle with half working on policy, which focuses mainly on young people issues and things associated with young people across government. And the other half of us work on programs which are administered through the Office for Youth. And they range from, some of you might have heard of the Freezer program, to National Youth Week, to the Advanced program which I help oversee. There's a range of others in there as well. So the Office for Youth basically aims to, I guess, facilitate and coordinate, I guess, the opportunities and participation opportunities for young people in Victoria. I guess the question on grants and programs, I guess there's three websites that I'd like to point people to before we get stuck into some suggestions and ideas perhaps. grants.dpcd.vic.gov.au lists all grants available through the Department of Planning and Community Development, including obviously the ones through the Office for Youth.
Yeah, can you send it again?
Yeah, no, I'll do that, no problems at all. So www.grants.dpcd.vic.gov.au. So so it should actually be on your sheet there. Worth having a look at, just to highlight a few perhaps. The Advanced program, as an example, is funding that's made available to Victorian government secondary schools. Some of you might be in that setting, some of you might be working with schools, and that's funding that supports young people to go out into their community, to be involved in community projects, develop some skills in communication, project management, as well as learn about the community and undertake some training along the way. So the Advanced program really is on about supporting young people's development, as well as supporting their commitment and their connection to communities. As I said, the funding is linked to schools, with quite a few of those schools using the funding to support their VEGA programs. But a number of schools are obviously partnering with a number of community organisations to focus on young people's outcomes for young people and education outcomes. So that's one program that's perhaps worth having a bit of a look at. There are others like National Youth Week grants, which is worth having a bit of a look at as well, focusing on recognising and celebrating young people's achievements and young people's involvement in their community. That's also listed on that site, as is links to Youth Foundations Victoria, which is 15 sites spread across the state, which actually provides young people themselves with the opportunity to be involved in the grants process. So it's young people themselves who receive the applications, it's young people themselves who make, I guess, judgments on those applications, and it's young people themselves who then decide where their pool of funding goes to support community action programs for young people. And there's a few others underneath the Office for Youth that we actually administer. Some of our programs, I guess, are based in, funding cycles. So a few of our programs, organisations that are funded for a 3-year block or a 4-year block, and some of those are partway through that cycle at the moment. We have a few that are up for, I guess, re-advertising or that re-application process at the end of 2011, and they include the YPA program, which is the Young People Participation and Access program, as is our mentoring program, which is supporting mentoring initiatives linking into young people who might be labelled, I guess, at risk or at risk of being disengaged of education. So there's a few there which are actually linked in terms of, I guess, a block of time in terms of that funding, and sort of a few of those are up for re-application at the end of 2011, so it's worth having a look at that website. A couple of others, just to finish off with, I guess some of that show and tell kind of area through that DPCD grants website. There are quite a few programs which are project specific. So for example, there's the Climate Communities Grants program which is available, which as the name suggests is funding which is made available to support projects which are focusing on, I guess, issues associated around climate change. And just to give you an insight, that's funds for up to $50,000 worth of support to support projects along those lines. So again, grants at .dpcd.vic.gov.au gives you some examples of that. Also, if your young people are working along things like, I guess, some fire awareness type of projects, there are currently open the Fire Awareness Awards, which basically are up to $10,000 worth of funding to support and recognise fire safety initiatives and projects. And again, there's links to that through that DPCD website. And also on that DPCD website is the Victorian Volunteer Small Grants, which are available through there as well. So there are, through DPCD, there are a variety of different grants that people can tap into and look at. I guess the two things which I'd encourage people to think about while going into grants is making sure that when you do apply, that you have a really strong look at the guidelines which are spelt out in each of those, and making sure that when you do apply that you don't actually undersell yourself in terms of responding to those guidelines, and making really clear that what young people are doing through your programs are linked directly into that. And I guess spending that time to actually do that homework. And two other websites which I'd like to mention to you which are worth having a look at, www.community.gov.au, which gives examples of how to go through that application process, as well as links to some grants as well. And the second one, which is really worth having a look at as well, because it does provide you links into, I guess, some other non-government funding, is philanthropywiki.org.au, which is really a database of corporate funding of opportunities, as well as other funding opportunities through trusts and other grants options through there. So www.community.gov.au as well as philanthropywiki.org.au is worth having a look at, as well as, of course, the DPCD one.
Thanks, John. We'll make sure that these go up on this website as well. Thank you. Because that was, yes, a lot of web information. Obviously, it's a good idea to perhaps go to some of those sites, take a little bit of time. They're quite easy to navigate.
Yeah, I guess, as I said, the two main things from our perspective is, obviously, when you're talking about competitive grant rounds, it's really important that you do spend the time to do the homework on being really clear what the guidelines actually are, and making sure that you actually respond to those guidelines.
And are there people there who can help, so you can actually talk to people about it? That's really quite important.
Can we ask questions as the presenters finish, or would you prefer us to wait to the end?
I think, no, I'm happy for you to take, because it might be, otherwise we're going to lose the thread, I think. Yes, so yes, ask your question.
What I'd like to know is some of the sites, I'm very illiterate, so I'd like to let you know, that's why I have VCAL students, okay, when it comes to IT. Now, some sites you can actually register and they will automatically send you information when grants are available, like a little reminder. Does that happen on those sites that you've mentioned, or do you actually physically need to go in each week and see what's coming up?
Our community site does actually have an e-newsletter that you can actually register to be part of, and that actually does provide you with regular updates in terms of what's available. So there are some sites out there which do similar things. Some charge you for that, whereas some, and I think that's one of those.
Which is pretty good though if you get regular updates, and you won't miss anything there. So it's fine.
The DPCD one, I think is not too bad because it does actually have some drop-down menus in there. You can actually search by type of funding that you're looking for. So you can search by youth, or you can search by multicultural, or you can search by an issue that's relevant to what you're working on. So a few of those organisations are like that. Some of the others, yes, there's a bit of a trawl through to try and find what you're looking for, but then I think once you've identified what it is that you're keen to find out on, that's, I guess, the first step, rather than trying to do the shotgun approach and saying, well, we'll just apply for everything.
Great, thank you.
One more question and then we'll go on to
Yeah, my name's John Matthews. I'm coordinator at the Wave School in Warrnambool, which is a reintegration project for a satellite of Warrnambool College. My question specifically on advance, which I've worked in other schools before, and I think it's a phenomenally great program. With the funding specific to advanced funding, how can, what I'd like to be able to do as a satellite school is to compete for the funding of the school. I assume that at the moment, only one advance per school.
The way the advanced funding works at the moment is that it's available to Victorian government secondary school campuses. So if the campus is actually seen by DECD as a campus of that school, then that school receives the funding. What we'd like to see from the Office for Youth's perspective, because we're really focusing on young people's involvement in decision making, young people themselves driving their projects, young people themselves involved in that whole attitude of, what do we want to do, who do we want to work with, and how do we go about that, and what skills we want to get out of the program. We'd like to think that at the local level there's an opportunity for schools to really decide what's the best use of that funding, what's the best way of investing that funding. We do have a number of schools that, as I said before, do tie that advanced funding into their VCAL. Although at the moment there's no direct funding made available to satellite sites, and I guess outside of that framework of availability of funding, there would be an opportunity, I would hope, at the local level for you to put your case forward to the school to say, well, if the school's receiving this funding, we think that it's an opportunity to better invest that funding in a variety of different ways. And we've got schools that, rather than just having that funding go to one classroom of young people, actually spread that across a variety of different ways. So part of that funding might go to their Year 9 program, whereas another part might actually go to their VCAL group. So we'd like to, and we'd obviously encourage that flexibility in terms of using that funding.